Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Power of Us podcast, or the Power Pod, as I'm liking to call it these days. And I am welcoming in Emma Hicks. Hello, beautiful Emma.
Hi.
Yeah,
Oh.
I want to give you the biggest hug. The biggest hug, but I know you're in Southern California. I know where you are. You just showed me the room that you're in, and you showed me that big grand piano, and I'm like, what? What? This is just going to be delicious, divine, and I think, yeah, it's going to find its own form and way. But for the people who are listening, who are tuning in, the Power of Us pod is about getting vocal. It's about discussions with soul-led entrepreneurs who are using their voice and spreading their message and getting in contact with their vulnerability. Even though simple but not easy, we were just sharing that before we came in. And yeah, a platform for people to really be expressive and explore, even in this live space, explore to find the essence, to even move through a shift as it's being recorded. Because I've learned so much, Emma, in my journey, that perfectionism is it just kind of squanders and sucks all the life force, the prana, dry out of us. And we don't want to be dry. We don't want to be dry. We want to be juicy. We want to be fulfilled. And I'm seeing so many fountains these days, of beautifulness. So let's get straight in. So we're going to talk about from fear to fearless. Fearless truth telling. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
So a moment or an experience that helped you to start speaking your truth out loud.
mm.
A lot of the time we can hear it inside, but to actually that journey that it takes to get through, through the bridge here, through the throat, through the tunnel, can be very challenging. So a moment experience that helps you to get your truth out, and also how did that shift feel on a personal level?
Yeah, this is a big one for me, and I'm being connected right back to my heart journey. It was my only medicine journey that I've ever done. It was in 2023 down in Costa Rica, and I was able to release throughout 6 hours with one woman on each side of me. Um, Deep, 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 deep trauma that was an experience that I didn't know consciously have happened to me. And through this experience, it was released. But the thing that I was thinking when you asked this question was, I remember at the beginning of this journey with being held by these two women, I kept asking these two women, can I roll over on my side? Can I move my hand? And I realized how much I was trying to control everything, trying to control my body. I didn't feel like I had permission to be free in my body. And um, yeah, just like bless these women for their grace and their compassion and their gentleness and their silliness and their lightheartedness. And yes, of course you can move, Em. And that was just such a moment that then unlocked my voice. And going through this heart journey, yeah, I remember at one point, like, my heart opened, laying on my back and singing, and just like from the depths of me expressing. And yeah, at one point being on a beach inside of this experience, and just like, I don't give a fuck what other people say. And I'm just walking down the beach and I just don't care. And actually, it's a really cool full circle moment. I just moved into our beautiful home a week ago. And as we closed the chapter on a 3-month transitional townhouse we were living in, I got the clear message about a week before we moved that I will know that I have made it when I dance on the beach freely. And I truly do not care what other people think. And it was the final sunset at that transitional townhouse. And I was walking down the beach and it was so beautiful. My husband actually was down there with our son and our son's friend. And I was just like so in my light, so in my bigness. And then I could just energetically, I was just so like online in my body and I could feel him there, but I didn't know he was there. And I just like walked up to him and he's like, how did you know I was here? I know, you know?
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's where I'm starting in this new chapter, in this new home. And I was at the beach last night, and that's something that's really supporting me is getting in the ocean every day.
mm,
It's getting colder and colder here, so it is more like a cold plunge every day. And
mm.
I make sure I go underwater before I get out. And also, I'm probably in there for 7 to 10 minutes. It's not a long experience, and it's been so good for my head to heart journey and just staying in my body. Um, yeah, and you actually, Natalie, were one of the women who spoke through about the ocean of love and just yeah, the ocean. And there were other women and maybe men too that kept saying ocean, 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 and I was so resistant. And I picked my daughter up from church on Sunday morning and I asked her, I said, "What's the message?" And she said that it was something about I will not remember any of the verses or anything, but the storyline was that there was this man who was resisting listening, and then he finally, oh, it was the healing of leprosy, is it? And then he finally, listened and he was healed. And so I'm on day 3 of 7 of getting in the ocean, and I'm just so confident that it's going to heal me. And yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
where I'm
What
at.
I'm hearing is the song from Hairspray, which is the motion in the ocean. Look at that. I love it. There's the motion in the ocean, and yeah, releasing releasing the emotions, the waves, being in that just the waters of Mother Earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Another woman that spoke like God was speaking through her, she said that it had healed her hormones. And so she just didn't have any issues with her hormones after getting in the ocean every night. I don't
Mm.
know for how long it was, but um, I get it. Yeah.
Get it. And
That's
I love how so thank you so much for sharing. I remember us talking about Nosara when you were here in Spain. We got to meet in person and we had some beautiful cups of tea, didn't we, together and chats and yeah, so beautiful meeting you in person. Um, and I love how you shared about Nosara because I don't know, that you're just sharing with us the span that it can take for us to integrate and immerse into the change, into the shifts, and then noticing how that then moves us into another inspired action, and getting into the water is your inspired action, and maybe some grounding as well for you as you be in this new home. Feels like a sacred nest. Yeah,
yeah.
space. And I also live near the sea, and I have an interesting relationship with it, but I love to look at the water, and when I get in, whoa, do I feel refreshed,
Mhm. Yeah.
renewed, and awake. And I do. I walk in and I ask the water to wash me, and it's a really beautiful ritual. So thank you so much. So for many of us, it is when you were saying the two women holding you, I didn't know whether these women were real, but I think they were in okay. And yeah, so other people holding us, and this is this is a way for many of us to get into to unlock our vulnerability, because like you said, it's unconscious.
Mhm.
and we have to bring it forth into the conscious to move it through. So I'm so happy you made that decision, because I'm seeing so many things happening with you as I follow your story. So talking about the power of vulnerability now. So you were vulnerable, of course, in that place, in that position of, the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just trust and I allow myself to get out of the way. And my singing teacher, Howard, used to talk a lot about this. Natalie, you're standing in your own way, get out of your own way. And again, I so deeply understand that now. But in my kind of early 30s, I didn't really, there was resistance, there was fighting. The fighter in me was still kind of putting up, her fists. She was giving it a good old go. So the power of vulnerability. So again, another pivotal moment in your story, that push you to be real. And that real for me is the sovereignty. It's showing up in your queen, it's showing up in your king, it's showing up in the divinity of the unification, or the parts that are out of balance as well. So showing up in that sovereignty, in your voice. Dropping the mask, speaking, from that raw, honest place. And an example of how that's changed for you, the way you connect with yourself and perhaps with others as well. I know these are big, big questions.
Oh, this is so good. I'm like, of course. I'm in awe of how deep and rich our connection is. And yeah, I'm quite in awe right now. Okay. So actually, Natalie, this all happened when I got to Soto Grande, and I claimed it for myself that I'm going to be real, authentic. And I sent that video to the women's group. That was my moment. That was my like claim to fame. I know. And that's how I met you. And I share this story all of the time now, Natalie. I'm like, and I met this amazing woman, and she's a soul sister, and she's like one with me for the lifetime. And that's what I got from being real and genuine. And it was so fulfilling. And wow. So I had a really, I had a really skewed idea of what community was. And I created a community basically out of my trauma. Um, and I was craving connection. So that was what this community was all around. And so I was like, I want to get around the table with other entrepreneurs, and I want to go be on the surface level. And at that time, I was so guarded. So I thought it was everyone else's problem that I wasn't getting the connection that I desired. And so I created this community, and I realized that I'm only going to get to connect with people as deeply as I'm connecting with myself.
Mm. I think we have a moment there, because that's a bit of gold dust there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was fed up of my own baloney by the time I got to Soto Grande.
Go below.
And I'm like, all right. It was so actually ease filled, to be honest. I've been preparing for that moment for a really long time. And it wasn't because of like this community that was around me that I felt this deep sense of belonging or this connection. It was because I chose to belong, and I chose myself, and I chose to show up authentically me and not care. In my power, I'm not in that mind game of, am I worthy? Am I enough? Am I being too much?
Mm.
And that's carried effortlessly in many ways into Southern California.
Mm.
I will say there's a lot of imposter syndrome for me here. Seeing people that I've been watching online in person, for years, it's been a trip, and it's been a lot of getting people off of pedestals, and showing up real, and that I am just as worthy as they are. So that's definitely been the journey here. Um, but I also am in no rush. Like, there's been many people I've been meeting that are mirrors for me. And I'm like, Okay, I do. I want to change my energetics and like I'm like this is fresh and brand new and I know what I want and I'm going to become the woman who's a match to that. And I'm not going to settle for anything less.
Mm.
I didn't come this far to come this, yeah, to come this far. And I know too that the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And so, for instance, for this house, Spain knows how to design a house. Here, it's like a 4 bedroom, 2 bath situation. And I'm like, in Spain, it was a master en suite in every bedroom. It was just so well done. And lo and behold, we have landed a house that has en suite bathrooms in every bedroom, and it's so magical.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm just learning patience right now in this season.
Yeah, patience. Yeah, this came up in a group that I'm in today. So it's obviously a yeah, collective theme of patience. I've had to learn so much patience. Oh, you've just shared so much there. But I just put my hands up because I was like reflecting that back to you. And then you mentioned people are being the mirror, but I really wanted to reflect that back to you, everything you were saying, because this is your reign. Like I feel you really dropping, like you said, into your own waters, and knowing you know who you are. Like I know that, but it's about that believing and belonging. And I've been stretching that word around community and belong in. So it's about being a long time in something. And when we think about it like that, for me, it's about the decisions. It's all with discernment. It's all with, a very strong sacred no's and yeses
Mhm.
to who we're inviting into our space. I also find so fascinating about the pedestal, and how we build others up, or we believe something that again isn't real. It's coming from our false self, our trauma, and the unconscious, beliefs and some of those patterns, which they're leaving, but it's a lifetime, isn't it, of work to unravel. So thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, and the pedestal is, yeah, again, I mentioned Howard, and I had him up on a pedestal. He became an authority figure to me, but also somebody that I knew was cracking me open. He was the first person, so I'm kind of late 20s here, that he was the first person that I'd listened to and respected and trusted to crack me open. And he said, that's what I'm doing, I'm cracking you open, we're gonna put you together again. And these are in singing lessons in London. So yeah, then when we're in that communion with another, with a teacher, with a sister, a brother, we're building our communities, aren't we?
Mhm.
Belong in.
Mhm. Yeah.
You and I have both been on that path together in the last year.
Mhm.
Mm, yeah.
I would say the biggest thing for me has been partnering with my aloneness to get here and learning how to befriend that part of me. And that's a deep one. Like that takes a lot of space to be able to like just kind of like witness that that's a big emptiness that can be inside. That was my experience, and to just be with that and not make the emptiness wrong. um to be able to show up as a whole, yeah, like you said, that king and queen, to show up as a whole human.
Mm, mm. I love it so much. And obviously, I associate here with my artist name as Cosmic Songbird. And I was sharing with somebody, you're saying emptiness, but I just keep hearing now empty nest. Like,
Mhm.
and we're talking about sacredness, but the nest for me now is a nest. Like I'm just seeing nests.
Mm. Oh my
And
God.
I think with what you're sharing there, and thank you for that, that vulnerability in real time, as we're talking. And I can, that's what I love about these kind of conversations, because you can feel all the the rhythms and the natural ebb and flows of the emotions. We can feel the frequency of the emotion as you went
Mhm.
into yourself then to share that. And I love to witness that. um
Mhm.
but yeah, being alone, and yeah, being
Yeah, can we go back to actually that empty nest?
mm.
Love to share that visualization I got. So when you said empty nest, it took me to my kids are out of the house and I'm an empty nester. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, it's in my head. And then once I dropped that into my heart, I felt so much peace, and I was able to like understand what you're saying and redefine that. And it was simply an empty bird's nest. It was just an empty nest. Like it's it's okay. I think there's a lot of like, people go through a lot of it's a hard transition for a lot of people, the empty nest, and there's a big story that's there. So that just felt really good to simplify that in the heart space. So it's
Mm.
it's simply it's an empty nest. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and all the work has been the devotion, the love. In actual fact, the work has, because it's empty, it means that in actual fact, the mother has done a really, really great job of
Yeah.
nourishing and not neglecting. I also feel that this emptiness for me is inner, it's inner child. It is, how she or he, the inner family, the IFS, show up and show us, show up for us. So yeah, I'm sure we could talk a lot more about that. If anything else comes up, please, please do feel free to share. Um, and I like to explore this concept of owning your voice. So I talk about own her ship. So all the parts within us, the hers that we identify along our journey. Like I'm a singer, and a writer. Like I was kind of owning those positive hers. But I've also, rejected her,
Mm.
and disciplined her, those the parts of us. So this is what I mean about this owning your voice, and in all of its elegance and all of its mess, the glory.
Yeah.
So, like, when did you first really feel the strength in using your voice to say what
Mm.
you needed to say? You talked about the desire, what you desire, even it when and if it wasn't easy.
Um, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm always exercising and flexing this muscle and growing into it. And it feels really relevant to share being in conversation last night. Like, because this is definitely, owning my voice and speaking. I'm not sure like the first time, but the first time I can remember right now, um, is last night in conversation with my husband and being really raw and real and open. And he was really present. And I really got into owning my inner whore. And like just some like really powerful shadow work. And the conversation we had was like, it was just mind blowing. And um, it started because it's like, what do you want to be all in on? And like, go all in, like whatever it is. And stop being in these 7 different places and not all in on anything. And so one of the things I'm like, I'm all in on my inner whore. And yeah, I have I have a sexual abuse is a part of my story. And um being sexually abused multiple times as a child, and that carried into my teenage years as being really promiscuous and being a whore. And um it's so interesting. the Bible coming up again, but I flipped to a story. It was Ezekiel 23. I do remember this one. And it was a few days ago. And it was about these sisters who were whores. And I was so devastated at first reading these passages because they were fondled as children and then became like, it was my story, and they became whores. And, you know, like it, it just like the emptiness and just like feeling really screwed, like really, pardon my French, really fucked. Like what the, oh, like I'm just like, oh, feeling victim, not knowing like what is wrong with me. Why can't like what I'm not normal. Like what, why can't I just be a woman? So I'm really excited to, I was like, I want to be in my whore to you, you know, just like I love monogamous relationships, and just being all in a monogamous relationship is just my dream come true. And I love being romanced, and I love romance. And yeah, I'm excited to just own this part of me and play with this part of me and bring more of that online and see where it goes, I guess.
And heal. So thank you so much. And obviously, I know. Thank you for sharing that and being so open about the sexual abuse, because we've shared on that before in our private conversations. And yeah, I know that obviously you felt safe to open up, and you know the conversations that I'm having with others around this as well, and some of the work that I'm doing and holding space for. So the inner whore. I kind of like I want to get to know her more, but this screwed and screwed up and fucked. I definitely know that is obviously we've collectively been healing that for a long time with the kind of from witch wound to mother wound, and well, inner child wound. So if somebody is listening and feels that they want to connect in with us to understand more about this, because this is obviously a very delicate subject, and it feels like you're turning it around. So I also use my body, I use my body, and I know I understand why, because I had learnt and held in my body that I was abandoned, neglected emotionally, and so I was always looking externally, outside for inner contentment, and it was never gonna work. So reclaiming my body and my femininity has been such like a juicy, I use this word, like juicy journey, and it's just getting better and better and better, as you say, like the best is yet to come. It just gets more. The more I feed myself, the more the more that comes, the more I come, the more it opens up, the channels for conversations like this. Yeah, so I look forward to hearing more about your inner whore. Does she have like, do you know, maybe you don't know yet, but is she kind of full of all elements?
Hmm. Yeah, all I know is that there's just fire in my belly, and yeah, just yeah, feeling the fire in my belly. And I know it goes really deep in my lineage. Yeah. Those are the two things I know. Yeah.
Fire in you. I've got the fire too.
Yeah.
I got the fire. I got the fire. I got the fire, and I'm singing on the beach with you. What were those lyrics again? Fuck it. No, what were you singing on the beach? Go on, give it to me again.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't give a fuck what other people think.
I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck what other people think. I don't give a fuck what other people think.
Think.
I don't give a fuck. I love it. What other people think. Yeah. And I see you sinking your feet into the sand, and yeah, exactly. All that movement, that femininity, and what's gonna come up for you is just gonna be gorgeous. So before we close this conversation, I like to also talk about trust. And trust is a big thing for me. And I just released my first co-created album called No Longer Lost, and trust is number 5 on that album. And it's such a, yeah, like a pin dropping, can't hear a pin drop moment in that, in the vibration of that
Mm.
message of trusting oneself, but trusting in collaboration. We talked a little bit about taking people off of pedestals and knowing your worth. You are worthy, to be in that space, to take up space. I want to see you taking up more space. So yeah, have connection and co-creation for you helped you stay true to your voice?
Mm.
And has collaboration amplified your truth and message through working with others rather than in isolation?
Mm. Yeah, it definitely has me keep taking right turns. Just imagining just like painting and how it just keeps me in my body and working with my hands. I can like taste clay in my mouth right now. So like those earthy grounding elements like you were talking about. Yeah, it just keeps me taking right turns and living in my body. And when I'm living in my body, I feel really good to say yes and to be brave and um, yeah, just continuing to expand inside of that and um, feeling good more and more for a majority of my time. Like that's the ultimate goal for me. And being a heart of service is the way that I'm finding that to be possible. So just continuing to devote my life to being a heart of service. So, coming on to this and having this conversation with you, Natalie, it's like, what can I share that's of service to the world? Being of service to my family tonight. I intuitively like we just need a family meal tonight around the table, and so I'm gonna make our family's favorite meal. So being a heart of service there, and um, yeah, that keeps me alive and juicy.
Alive and
Yeah.
juicy. I love it. And obviously the community that I know that you talked about earlier on. And
Yes.
we did talk about another community. I don't know whether that will manifest for you, but you said there was something about walking on the beach, leading others on the beach, and who knows what is to come. But yeah, thank you so much. And I've noticed you amplifying your presence and your voice more since you left Spain. Yeah, and being more present. Um, yeah, so
Um,
when you share your story and speak your truth, what do you hope you've kind of really answered this, I suppose, that your audience walks away with, that the person walks away with. So you're talking about yourself being like a heart to service. Oh, I just love that. I love that so much. But if you imagine, you've been that heart to service, and the person is walking away, having had felt your heart in the service. What, what do they walk away with?
um, I would say a deeper knowing of their inner truth and more connected to their creativity.
Mm. And what does that give? What does that bring back to you?
Life. Yeah, like life, primal life force.
Yeah. Mm. All I keep seeing is it all coming, like everything that you give coming back to you,
Mhm.
your heart, for
Mm.
all the service and love
Mm.
that
Mm.
you give. Yeah, giving and receiving, it's such, um, it sounds so simple,
Mhm.
but as a recovering people pleaser, a fauna, it's to receive for myself has been the missing key, and now I fully have that. I've unlocked that. Yeah, and
Mm.
yeah, it's just it's absolutely beautiful to be in service like that. And your heart is so big.
Mm.
I loved this conversation, but I've loved all of our conversations. And I didn't also respond to that time when you sent out the video,
Mm.
and the response from me was, I saw this video in a community and I was like, who is this real person? I need her in my life because I've been living here for many years now, on and off. I'm a bird. I fly in and out, but we've migrated for the winter into the heat. I'm actually sweating as it's 29 degrees. From the
Wow.
window, I was like, what? But yeah, that shone through, and that is magic.
Mhm.
When the presence, the essence, the realness, this is what we're talking about. This is why this is all about getting vocal. This is all about, because, we need to tune more and more into that in our
Mm.
in our lives to manifest, and be authentic to ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow. So I was so grateful when I watched that, and I remember going down and saying to Frida, I was like, oh, let's just see. I've just responded this lady, and I was like, wow, she's like, to see somebody being visible in that way. Uh,
Mm.
yeah. And again, I think it was a mirror for me. So
Mm.
yeah, I thank you. And how can we connect deeper with you, my love?
Yeah, on Instagram. So that'll be Hicks__Emma. Yep.
Wonderful. I should obviously put that also in the show notes. And is there anything that you would like to, any little gem that you'd like to finish with?
Um, I would just love to end with I would love to share with the world how we both individually, creatively open up our homes to others to come in. And I love the music jam sessions that you guys do on Fridays. And I'm in my new home, and within 1 week, so from Saturday, this last Saturday, today is Tuesday, from this last Saturday to this next Saturday, so a 7 day span, we'll have 3 gatherings in our home. And that's like the whole thing of this home. Like, it is for you, you have this, and it is to have a full home. And that's what this space is meant for. So I'm super excited about that. And I just want to quickly just share that last Saturday, my daughter hosted a volleyball sleepover with her volleyball team. And it was such an honor to serve and to get to host that. And I had a lot of resistance. She was persistent and asked at least 5 times until I said, okay, yes. And then serendipitously, I'm going to be kicking off this Thursday, leading we're going to like call it a public speaking mastermind in person for the next 4 Thursdays. And I met a woman at a network event that was so like soul, like divine. So I'm super excited for that. And then my oldest daughter is having a sleepover this Saturday, so I get to host that. So yeah, I don't know if you feel called to share just like the joy of opening up your home, and how you do that. I think it's something that is simple, but it is a lost art,
Mm,
at
yeah.
least here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing that's happened to me since I've been living here is that deeper connection into community. And you're right. Every Friday we have our curry. It's called Curry Club, and we meet. We make music, and yeah, and then we eat curry, and it's beautiful. So I love that, and you've shown me a little bit of your new home, but I would definitely be coming round to that home.
Yes, 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 yes. Aw, thank you so much for having me on, Natalie. This was
Oh, thank you so much,
delightful.
Emma. So to all of you who are tuning in, as I said, this is the Power Pod, and this is part of a series of interviews that accompany an event that I started at the beginning of 2025 called The Power of Us. And we have our next event happening in Bristol. And Natalie Wallace, who you connected me with, she's coming, and she is going to be speaking with us. And we are a beautiful, strong team of 10 incredible, all women this time, showing up to glow up. And so if you want any information about that, then go into the show notes. And yeah, it'd be a pleasure to have you, with us in person. But Emma, it's so beautiful that we could have this conversation, and we will be speaking very, very soon. Thank you
Yes.
so much.